guys, it's Hollie here for PlayStation Access. Now, Rob and Dave have been lucky enough to see Mad Max before, but this is my first time. I'm calling to John from Avalanche, and we're talking about the new demo that we've just played.
Yep.
So tell us a little bit about what you're showing at Gamescom.
Previously we've shown very mechanics-heavy demos.
Yep.
This one is a lot more mission-based, and there are a lot more of the interesting kind of quirky characters from the Wasteland presented here. So the demo that you just played, you get to meet one of the Stronghold leaders, a woman called Pink Eye. She's in a wheelchair, she's a hardened warrior, survivor of the Wasteland. She has managed to collect what she calls her children into this stronghold, and her ultimate goal is to try and send them away and allow them to escape the terrors of the Wasteland and the reign of Scabrous Scrotus, Max's antagonist. So you arrived at the stronghold.
Yep.
Scrotus's main lieutenant, Stankum, particularly despicable chap, was attacking the stronghold with catapults, bombing with fuel tanks and things. And then Max, you playing as Max, takes down those defenses or those offensive weaponry in order to make an uneasy alliance with Pink Eye. And she has some information for you, and she'll help you go further on your quest to put together your car and hopefully escape the Wasteland too.
Now, when we started the demo, we started in the garage sort of screen in the items menu. So you wanted us to do some customization before we went in. It looked deep.
Okay.
So, how much? What's the car? What can you change? Is it just the color? Is it just a few wheels, or is the whole thing?
Yeah. So it's one of the main progression loops in the game, and it's so deep that we hope that everyone will have a completely unique Magnum Opus. It's a reflection of your journey through the game and the choices that you make. It's interesting on a number of levels. Your challenge is not just to sort of max out everything and keep buying stuff. When you add something like a ramming grille, it changes the physics properties of the car. It's now front heavy, it's much more heavy than it was before. You're going to need tires to support that, you might need a better engine. And if you go on and make a really heavy vehicle like a tank, it's going to have strengths, but it's also going to have some weaknesses. You won't be able to escape encounters that you find yourself in over your head. Maybe you're not able to scale some steep slopes and find some hidden treasure or loot somewhere in the Wasteland. So we give you help in the form of a number of kind of ready-made templates to show you different types of cars that suit different types of combat styles.
So how do you customize them? Is it you can just purchase everything, or have you got to find them and craft them, or is it just you've got to actually go out there and find the parts yourself?
Some of the things you need to find, and they're tied to missions, but a lot of the things, the main currency is scrap, and you will, with help from some of the stronghold leaders, you'll go out and scavenge scrap. And then you will choose what you want to buy. You'll never have a huge stockpile of scrap, so you'll always be sort of spending what you have to try and move a little bit further and take on some tougher enemies and get some better treasure. But you can at any stage go back and regret your decisions and say, well, hang on, I want to have some more offensive weaponry instead of playing with defensive border spikes and rims and things. So you can change your playing style all throughout the game and open up the garage screen whenever.
I could be in the middle of it and I decide actually I've spotted something on the hill and I can't get to it, and I can just literally change my vehicle and off I go. Now, one of the things we did today was we used the vehicle to take down some quite heavily armoured cars. What kind of gameplay styles are we going to be seeing? Is it all going to be like that? Is it going to be very quick? Because we'd use a harpoon. Which, by the way, if you used it on a human...
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's quite messy.
The Mad Max, aura is all about this, brutal, clash of metal and skin, no holds barred, survivalist, and vehicle combat. That's really the way we want to present it. In the midst of that, first of all, you've got some interesting choices for camera. I don't know if you went into first-person camera view in the vehicle. That's a real adrenaline rush. It's not as good for sort of figuring out tactically how you want to approach certain encounters, but definitely a real cinematic Mad Max experience. Then once you're in the midst of combat, you've got a whole bunch of weaponry that you can choose between. You mentioned the harpoon, very versatile weapon.
Good fun.
Pull off doors, tires, pull drivers out of cars, pull down symbols of Scrotus's power in the Wasteland, all that sort of stuff. You've also got a sniper rifle. You've got your iconic shotgun.
Yeah, we use that a lot.
Yep. You've got the dual-wielding, what do you call it, like flamethrowers. I don't know if you installed those. Yeah.
Casual.
Also pretty impactful. So there's a wide range of weaponry, and that's apart from just your basic things like boosting and ramming attacks and stuff like that. So it's a real roller coaster, fast-paced vehicle action.
I was really impressed actually when we got out the car and we had to get into the base. It was more hand-to-hand combat.
Yep.
That was really quick.
Yep.
I was very impressed with that. And tell us some of the weapons for that. We used a thunder stick, which was pretty good fun.
So Max is he's not like a ninja, but he's definitely an experienced fighter. He's a survivor of the Wasteland. In fact, that's probably his greatest strength, and why people like Chum Bucket decide, okay, if I can latch onto this guy, he's going to be able to fulfill my dream, which is to make this the most awesome Wasteland war machine ever. Same thing for the Stronghold leaders. They recognize that he is, a very, very effective survivor. So that's what we're trying to portray in the hand-to-hand combat. Yep. It's brutal. It's very effective. He knows that at any stage, this encounter could be my last. So he's not messing around. He doesn't do it for the enjoyment of it. He's not vengeful and so on. He just, he's a man determined to move on with his goal. It's definitely a change of tempo and a break from that vehicle combat that you played prior.
What about the Fury meter? I saw that in the top hand corner when we were just getting into the final kind of fight, Pink Eyes. Yep. It turned red, and all of a sudden we were doing more damage.
Yeah.
What's the Fury meter?
So as you sort of master the basics of hand-to-hand combat, you will, when you pull off good combos or you get the timing right for a parry and a counter, you will fill what we call the Fury meter. Yep. Once it's full, you go into this, buffed up mode where Max becomes super powerful. He can clear a room in minutes. Yeah. And then you open up a lot of, really cool finishing moves and extra brutal combos. And particularly effective with the weaponry that you mentioned, disarming people with their melee weapons or shivs, finishing people with shivs as well.
Now, very finally, because obviously this is PlayStation access, but DualShock 4, I heard quite a lot of noises coming out the speakers. How are you guys using the DualShock?
So I hope that you think that it's kind of subtle.
I like using the DualShock speaker. I think it's cool. It's like we were pulling stuff off with harpoons, as it's sort of like that clank. Yeah. That's what was coming out.
Yeah. So there is some sort of environmental sound, which I think is really nice. You'll also see some VO. So some people are talking to you, and it's a bit of an internal dialogue. So there's some fun stuff that we've experimented with as well.
It's always great to see it being used.
Yeah, I hope people will like it.
Sure they will. Thank you very much for talking to us. I know Nathan absolutely aced the demo. He was pretty much the only one in the room.
Finished the mission.
Behind the camera looking very smug, might I add. Thank you very much for talking to us. Hopefully we'll be able to show you some more of the game soon, and you guys can stay tuned to our YouTube channel.